One, that the South African government and the local organizing committee has not paid any bribe to anyone to secure the rights to host the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Two, that we will approach the United States authorities through the diplomatic channels to share with us their indictment and any information that they have to enable us to study the facts carefully and to take appropriate action. And three, we have further called upon all to desist from commenting about the matter and to afford the national government an opportunity to address the matter through diplomatic channels, as well as calling upon all those who have any information on the matter to come forward and share same with us.
Minister Fikile Mbalula reiterated the stance of the South African government, the denial that the $10 million payment made to the Caribbean Football Association was a bribe. He denies that altogether, and he said that South Africa, at the time of the bidding of the World Cup, had a government policy which is still in force even now, of the African Renaissance, which means that this century belongs to the rise of the African continent. And that does not exclude Africans beyond the geographical area of the continent. And that means that it includes Africans in the diaspora, including those in the Caribbean. So when they won the bid to host the World Cup, they were winning it on behalf not just of South Africa, but of the continent, and also of those who are outside the continent in the African diaspora.
This is the issue that we're starting to see, and we've heard it in an open letter from the Australian Federation today as well, Milton, that all these federations were having to play the so-called FIFA game in the bidding process. And maybe some of them are now asking themselves the question whether they stepped over the line. Do you think that is also being asked in South Africa as well, irrespective of what they're saying publicly?
Yes, as you can imagine, this is the number one topic here in South Africa. Everybody is talking about the controversy of the $10 million payment. But what is glaringly obvious at this press conference, I've just come out to talk to you, Minister Fikile Mbalula is sitting at the South African Football Association headquarters, and he is a governor from the Football Association sitting next to him. And last night, when they issued the announcement that there will be a press conference today, they said there will also be the people who were part of the local organizing committee of the 2010 World Cup. Well, today they are not here, and the answers perhaps lie in those members.
Milton, for the moment in Johannesburg, thank you very much. Well, part of the reasoning, I suppose, behind Sepp Blatter's decision yesterday was a letter that was published, which seemed to have been addressed to the Secretary General here in FIFA in 2008, Jerome Valk, from the South African Football Association. And for the first time, that brought the allegations closer to Sepp Blatter's door. But also, of course, he must have known that the FBI's investigations in the United States continue. And as I said at the top, we're likely to get new testimony today, sealed transcripts from Chuck Blazer, a former member of the executive committee here in Zurich, who obviously is central to the FBI investigations. Well, earlier today, the Attorney General in the United States, Loretta Lynch, has been speaking about that investigation, which she says is still in its early stages.
We are not able to comment further on the nature of other individuals who may or may not be under investigation. This is an ongoing matter. It's an open case, and so we will now be speaking through the courts. As we did indicate last week, the investigation is ongoing. I simply would like to reiterate again our thanks to the Swiss authorities who worked so well with us in coordinating the arrests last week. This was yet another example of international cooperation. With respect to your question about the World Cup games, as I believe I indicated last week, and has been confirmed, the Swiss authorities do have an investigation underway, and their investigation covers matters involving the World Cup awarding for 2018 and 2022. And beyond that, I'm not able to comment.
Well, subsequent to the investigation in the United States, there is, of course, another investigation going on here in Switzerland, which is more focused on the bidding process for the 2018 World Cup in Russia and also the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. And you would think, when Sepp Blatter has stood down, whether that be in December or soon after that, that there will be implications for Qatar because one of their closest allies will have left the scene. Well, today the Qataris have been giving their reaction to Sepp Blatter's announcement. They have been hitting back really at the English FA and the chair of the English FA, Greg Dyke, who's been quite vocal in some of his comments. A statement on behalf of the Qatari Football Association president, Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa bin Ahmed Al Thani, went something like this. We would urge Mr. Dyke, he says, to let the legal process take its course and to concentrate on delivering his promise to build an England team capable of winning the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. In response, they went on to Mr. Blatter's resignation. A Kremlin spokesman, this is I should say, a statement from the Kremlin. They went on to say that Mr. Blatter's decision was unexpected, but that Moscow continues its preparations for the 2018 World Cup. And that's really the point, I think, that Russia is in a very different position to Qatar, Lucy. They have the stadia, they have the culture in football, and indeed we are probably weeks away from the preliminary draw for the World Cup. So it seems very difficult at this moment in time to foresee that Russia would lose that World Cup. I think the implications are much more serious for Qatar, given that they're still building stadiums and given that there's so much controversy around that bidding process. As I say, the Australians weighing in today to give their thoughts on that bidding process. They lost out to Qatar. The other issue, I think, though, Lucy, which we sometimes skirt over when we're talking about sport, are the geopolitical ramifications of all this. Because can you imagine a situation where perhaps UEFA or indeed World Football walked away from Russia in the context of what is going on in Ukraine at the moment? Likewise, the Americans have their forces a base in Qatar, and they have very close relations with Qatar. Would they want to be behind movements that would take the World Cup away from the first Arab country? So there are big geopolitical implications, I think, for both of these countries and indeed for the wider world, which are still to play out.